to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. And this Power Talk Friday is sponsored by Nancy Ganzekaufer and her newest program, Profit Insiders for Interior Designers. Nancy is a friend, a colleague, and a co-author in my second book, The Power Talk Friday Experts Volume 1. In her chapter, Nancy talked about charging your worth as an interior designer, and honestly, it applies to every business owner. Nancy's been on the show several times, and we'll put the links in the show notes for all of those episodes, along with links to the Power Talk Friday Experts book and to Nancy's own book, Lead with Confidence. I'm so excited to have her back on because not only has it been too long since she's been on the show, but because today we're here to talk about the importance of analyzing your profitability. And this I love to talk about. And specifically, Nancy is here to discuss the importance of knowing your numbers for the jobs that are already completed. You know, doing what I like to call the autopsy, making sure what we think is happening in our profit and in our business, in our projects, is actually happening. We'll get into all of this, as well as how Nancy can help you with her tips and her fabulous coaching options that she offers. Let's get into it. Hey, Nancy, I have to say, I think this is the longest you and I have ever gone without having you back on the podcast. I'm so excited to have you back on the show today.
I know, Luann. Thanks for having me again. I have to tell you, it's been a year or two since I've been on the podcast, right?
I wonder if it's even longer. I meant to look it up, but it feels like, I have to say, you know, in the beginning, we met each other right in the same, like within 6 weeks of each of us starting this new business adventure at this stage of our lives. You starting your coaching business, me starting the podcast. And that first couple of years was so, like you, Fred Burns, Kay Whitaker, it was so like we just had our like resident, you know, board of advisory experts that like, hey, Lou, I got another idea for another podcast. And it was just so cool the way we built that together in the beginning. People finding about your coaching business, you coming onto the podcast and giving so much value. And you can hear it in my voice. I'm super excited to be together again.
I know. I miss talking to you, although we do talk on Voxer once in a while. We know that. But you know what? We all rise up together. And that's why I was so excited when I first started coaching and I met you and you were first starting to podcast. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to be on the podcast. And oh my God, I want to help you grow also. Like the two of us together, along with all the other people you mentioned, we just all sort of went, you know what? Everyone has their skill set. So let's share it and put it out there in the world. And it really did help grow my business being associated with you. I hope you being associated with me helped too.
100%. The value, you know, that beginning, it was like pretty much all of the people in the first Power Talk Friday Experts book were recurring guests, recurring experts. You, Michelle Williams, Nicole Heimer, Fred. I mean, Kay Whitaker, like I said, it's like there was 12 of you. And it really felt like all of us. I mean, Michelle was also, not that she was new in business, but she was new. She started podcasting a year or so after that. And really her business coaching was taking off as well. And it just felt like we were all like doing it together. And it's just such a special, it's almost like when you, I don't know, like for me, I always think about sports analogies and stuff. And it's like, you have that one high school year where everybody was like, like I played field hockey, and we just had that one year where we had the best center, we had the best goalie, we had the wings, we had the halfbacks, and we all just worked together. And the year before was good, and the year after was great, but that one year it was like ba bum ba bum ba bum, like you just were in sync. And that's what it felt like for a couple of years with this crew that we had. And of course, look, the podcast thankfully has grown so much, and you just can't keep the same 8 or 12 people coming on every week, because otherwise nobody else would get on.
You know what's funny though? I think about how, as you're talking, what's coming to mind is that, and now we're all going to be at the IDS National Conference.
I know. I'm so excited.
It's the same crew almost. I mean, almost everyone. And of course, a couple of new people who are fabulous.
Yeah.
It's just so nice to keep giving opportunities to each other to expand our audiences, because you're like me, we want to help as many people as possible make money, have profitability, grow their business, feel good, feel confident. And we all need to cross-pollinate our audiences so that they know we're all there to help them.
I know. And it reminds me of, for interior designers, you've been part of a couple of my Power Talk Friday tour, the one-day coaching event. And we see what happens in person. We see 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 designers come together, and they create a relationship within the day and a relationship with us. But then they take that relationship on their own, helping each other for many weeks and months and years to come. I've had so many people tell me they met at Luann Live, and they're still accountability partners and stuff. And so for designers listening, this crew of experts from the podcast that first couple of years is that same sort of you as a designer have your community of maybe it's 2 other designers, maybe it's 8, but that's why my voice is like this, because we did build each other's businesses and designers' businesses together
and made so many friends along the way.
I know. Such a special time. So today you are back today to talk, and we're going to put the links to all of your episodes in the show notes. So if you are new to the podcast and you're like, why is she so excited about Nancy Ganzekaufer and who is she? You have missed the boat if you don't know, but we'll put all the links in the show notes. So today though, we're going to talk about analyzing your profitability, right? Like I talk about on the show all the time, you must do the autopsy of your projects. I have watched not just designers, but business owners of all genres just keep doing business year after year after year, and really not ever taking apart and understanding if they're making profit. There's money in the checkbook. I call it, you've seen me live talk about it, money laundering, right? You want to be a money launderer? Let's make $100,000. Let's put it in the checkbook. Let's spend $100,000. That is not a business. That is money laundering. You are just taking the money in, you're using it for a couple of weeks or months, and you're putting it back out again. We need to take in, $200,000, and pay out $100,000 and have $100,000 sit in our checking account. We need to make money that stays with us, but we can't do that if we don't understand how to price our projects for profit. So start us off, Nance. What do you teach the designers that you work with about pricing for profitability?
Okay, so this is such a huge topic that I cover with all my coaching programs, but what I want to talk specifically about today is knowing your numbers for the jobs you've completed, right? How do you know, Luann, if you need to raise your prices, adjust your prices, adjust the amount of hours you put into a project, right? My clients are taught many different ways. They can, me, I do designer for a day. I teach designer on call, full service design, construction. And what happens when you start looking after the job is over, as you call it, the autopsy, and you find out that, the larger jobs are actually making you less profit as a percentage sometimes than the smaller jobs. And why is that? Well, I'll tell you a story. I did this exercise called my Profitability Analyzer, which we'll give a link to. I did this I actually coached a landscape designer, because I coach interior designers. I also coach other service-based businesses. Right. So she was a landscape designer, and we're like, okay, what is going on? Let's now take the last 5 jobs you've completed and let's put it through my Profitability Analyzer. And we found out that her larger jobs were making her less as a percentage of profitability. And when we started digging in, her mindset, money story issues started coming out. The minute she saw the big numbers, she would pull back and lower them because she was afraid to present them. So this profitability analyzer was showing us where her easy stuff was, so to speak, that she was comfortable, and allowed us to identify that on the larger job she was uncomfortable, which then, you know me, I'm all about communication and how to speak to a client and the sales process and keeping them in the moment. What moment was it failing for her? So we were able to dig into her mindset, readjust the mindset to say, you know what? It's okay to charge more for bigger jobs. It's actually what you're supposed to do, right? All right. But she got nervous and would pull back. So using the profitability analyzer, which I'll run through with you guys today, is going to help you see where you may still have a weak spot or a service model that you're currently selling over and over and over again, thinking it's great because it sells so quickly, is not actually a viable service model for you to make the money you need to make. I am all about less clients, more money with the highest service model that you can possibly provide for them, right? Charge your worth and have the service match it. Okay. So you have a freaking life.
Yeah.
People, they don't have lives. They're working 7 days a week. They're stressed. And it's like, okay, let's analyze the last 5 jobs. And when you do that, you go, oh, no wonder. Just not charging enough to make it worth your while. And it also will help you in the future figure out which jobs you're saying yes to and which jobs you actually are saying no to, which I know is another sticking point that I hear often. Like, what do I say if I don't want the job? Like, how do I get out of it? How do I direct the client to another service model that is better for them and profitable for me? And it all starts with understanding your numbers.
Right. 100%, and that's what we always call Vinny's section when we do a Power Talk Friday tour, right? Know your numbers. That's always his conversation. And, he is famous for saying, if you make $1 million, but you spend $1,001,001, you don't have $1 million business. What are you doing? That's a hobby. That's not a business. And Correct. So you are 100%, you and I are 100% in agreement that the only way we actually know that we are consistently pricing for profitability is if we are consistently reviewing the projects. And I mean, this at WindowWorks, we review every job. I mean, we can have 300 sales a month. Every single one, 201. We're not like, oh, we've been reviewing our projects for the last 40 years, so we can stop now. Or we do 300 jobs a month, we can check 100. No, Vinny literally looks at every single one when it's completed. And if it's not within the target gross profitability margin that WindowWorks knows it needs to run on in order for all the bills to be paid, all the eyeballs to get paychecks, all of the things to happen, then he goes right to that salesperson and says, what happened here?
Right.
What happened? And if it's the salesperson that made a mistake, fine. If it's the installer that created, callback mistakes, but we actually autopsy it and talk about it. So I'm totally on board with this. So walk us through, how do you help an interior designer look at their projects for profitability? What are the steps that they need to do, Nance? Okay.
So before I get even into that, something came to mind while you were talking. Okay. And part of the reason why you need to have profitability in every job and a decent amount is also if something goes wrong, that you as a company want to save the reputation of your company, and it's going to cost you, darn it, $3,000 to fix this thing that really wasn't even your fault, but you need to do it. You're not going to be able to do it if you don't have a decent profitability in every single job, and almost have a fund that funds, mistakes that happen. It's going to happen. This is a very difficult business, interior design, to have everything go perfectly, especially what's going on in the world right now. So what I have done was create a spreadsheet that's super simple. There is a data sheet where you put your information in, and then you scroll down, and the next sheet is the results sheets that has all the calculations built in so you don't have to figure it out. And it's as simple as putting in everything the client paid to you. Now we're figuring the job is over, right? Everything the client paid to you, including if you do a paid consult, which I highly recommend when you're at certain stages of your business, plus any money they've paid to you for services or furnitures or any product or any service for a painter, contractor, anything. If it ran through your business, that number gets totaled and you put in what the client paid you in total. Then you add to it if you happen to get any referral fees, because some people get referral fees from painters and contractors. It depends on where you live in the world, what state you're in, whether you can put your head on the pillow at night if you're feeling good about it. It's all kinds of factors. But if you've gotten money from a contractor at any point, that goes in the spreadsheet as well. Then you're putting in what sales tax you have collected. You're putting in your shipping, your delivery, your storage, whatever, again, got paid out to vendors. And then it's going to calculate, right? So you have your everything your client paid, any referral fees that you received, any sales tax that you're paying out to your state, then the cost of goods that you've paid for that client, what furniture you've purchased on their behalf, what was the cost of that, any vendors you've paid to do work. And then if you've calculated your hours, which whether you charge hourly or not, I highly recommend you track your hours on those jobs so you can see. And when you scroll down, this spreadsheet's going to tell you what your total profit margin is on that job. And if you've calculated your hours, what your hourly rate actually was for that job.
Okay.
Important stuff to know.
Right.
Because let's say I had a client once who came to me and said, I'm a $250 an hour, I charge $250 an hour as a designer. I'm like, really? Okay, great. And it was in an area that she could do that for sure. Let's calculate. And it came out, seriously, one of her jobs was like $25 an hour.
I know. It's funny.
And she was like, what's going on? And she was like, I don't understand. And I'm like, you're really not pricing yourself properly. And then we had to go and dig into what was her method of sourcing. Like she was taking too long sourcing. And we had to then talk about her process, figure out how she could do it more efficiently, and dig into her process, right? And then dig into, did she have a staff member doing some of the stuff? Was she using her time efficiently? How could she get better at what she was doing? So it gave us this insight into her business that she had never looked at it that way before. Once you're running your business by numbers, you're going to be running a business like a CEO, not just by emotion.
Right. I love it because we do have different reasons for having lower profitability on individual projects as well as the entire business that we run. And you've mentioned a couple of them here. Number one is mistakes. We literally make a mistake, or somebody involved in the project makes a mistake and we have to step up and cover the mistake. This happens. Hopefully you don't make the same mistake more than once, but this is a reality. And we're like, remember Judith Neary, who used to be on in the beginning all the time, one of the original crew? She used to say, humans are involved, mistakes are going to happen, right?
That's right.
Right. So mistakes. The other reason that you mentioned is mindset. We, just think, okay, I'm going to price a 5-hour project and I'm happy to do it at $250 an hour. But as soon as I price a project that is going to be multiple layers, multiple facets, I lower the margins. I just lower I won't put as much profit on the project. I won't put as much profit on the product, blah, blah, blah. Like you mentioned with the landscape designer.
Like to me, I just feel like when someone says to me, well, but I made $10,000 on that job anyway, so I still made good money. And I'm like, but you made less than what you could have made pricing it properly and still being very fair to the client. I mean, it's not like I'm telling you, screw the client, charge this much. There's a process you should have in place and decisions in advance of taking on a job that you become. I mean, I like to say it like this. Pretend you're the employee of the company when you're pricing a job, and that the company has guidelines and they have process and they have rules that cannot be changed just because you feel like it and you get nervous.
Right.
right?
Right.
Turn yourself into an employee in your mind while you're pricing and go, this is the company policy.
Oh, I
And I'm
love that.
sticking to the company policy, as opposed to, well, I'm the owner and I think they're expecting me to come down because they said that they're tight on money right now.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, ignore that statement, because they're going to say that because they're going to try to negotiate and they have the right to.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take it personally. Don't get upset. Just stick to the company policy, which has been set in order to be profitable. And my favorite sentence is, if someone questions your pricing, yes, that is part of what allows me to be a profitable business, that allows me to be here for you today, doing what I love to do and helping you with what you need.
Right. Well, I mean, look, who else but designers actually think that part of their service is to give people lower prices on goods and services? I don't know any other industry that has this
I mean,
misconception.
We can talk ad nauseum about this, Luann, and yeah, I mean, I don't expect someone to come in and charge less than the job is worth and to take away their profitability.
Yeah,
like, they're in business for a reason, but some people don't respect that.
Right.
And then you're dealing with that. And part of a lot of what I do is give people the words. I have the business helpline, which is the Voxer walkie-talkie. What do I say when the client says this? Okay,
Right.
this is what you say. And I go
Yes.
back in respectful business professional way, explaining that the price is the price, and there's a reason for that.
Well, and the funny thing too is, and I know that you experience this as well, what I see happening often with designers, creative entrepreneurs, is that they read into the question that they are getting from their client and attach all sorts of stories to it that aren't there, and maybe they sometimes are, but if you stick to what the question is and answer it, instead of building it up in your, like, so when somebody says, oh, I didn't realize it was going to take 20 hours to do this, often a creative will be like, oh, I have to explain why it's going to be 20 hours. Oh my goodness, maybe it should only be 12 hours and blah, blah, blah. And like, I know you and I agree. It's like the answer is, okay, basically inside voices, and whatever made you an expert on guessing how many hours my job takes is really a great question. But outside voices, I can understand that you might not know that. You don't do this for a profession. However, in my experience, 15 years experience, 5 minutes experience, this is how long it takes. And 99% of the time, the client will go, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, they're not really, the client isn't really challenging it to the point of not saying yes. They're just looking for some little assurance that you've done it from a standpoint of knowledge. And if you provide that, 8 out of 10 clients will just say, okay, thanks, here's your money, right?
Exactly.
Right?
And I call it, you've seen in my group, the Interior Design Business Forum, it's like, that's the story you're telling yourself. Stop telling yourself that story. You are taking one sentence from a client and you have created this whole story about how they think you're too expensive. I don't think they want to go with me. Oh, it's been 2 days since they've followed up. What happened? I'm like, maybe they're just sick. Maybe they're busy. Maybe their child had to come home from school. Maybe their dog is not feeling well. Like, the stories everyone tells themselves about the reasons why people do or don't do things is extravagant sometimes, and other times it's minor. But either way, just go with the facts. Don't tell a story around what you think is happening. Pick up the phone and find out.
Right. 100%. 100%. Okay, so when we do, so on your website you have this profitability analyzer, and it's, look, it's simple math. To your point, you're going to put in all the money you collected, all the money you spent. You're gonna look at it, and that's exactly what we do at WindowWorks. Vinny adds up every single invoice that is connected to a particular project. He looks at all of the monies and all of the invoices that we've collected from the client. For us, it's easy. It's usually a deposit and a balance due, right? It's easier in that regard, but our projects can be as complex, where we can have 7, 8, 10, 12 vendors involved in pulling together all of those costs. And then, of course, tracking the mistakes and making them part of the thing. So what is the target margin that you coach interior designers to price their profitability toward? Like what are you looking for them to have as a margin?
So the beautiful thing is the job profitability analyzer actually says right on it, your target is between 40 and 60% profitability on the entire job. Now, if you think about this, you have, again, sometimes a consult fee, then you have a design fee, then you have a project management fee, or you have rolled it into a flat fee. You sometimes have the extra finishing touches, which some designers sell as a separate function. All those, that's all the money you're bringing in. And then I want to see that you have between 40 and 60% profit margin at the end of the job. You know, you hit 40%, I'm pretty happy. 50%, woohoo. 60%, holy moly, you actually did an amazing job. And again, it's not that it's not fair to the client. It's that you've sourced properly to increase your margin, that you have charged properly for the design phase, and you've made your profit there as well. And that you've made your profit all along the way in these little containers that you have the ability to make money as a designer. Don't give up on any of those containers. Actually charge for them and charge them at a profitable rate that overall gives you a job that makes you money and gives you that balanced life that you need. Less clients, more money. You know, listen, the clients will always try, or let's say 90% of the time, try to have you explain why you charge the way you charge. And there's still a lot of older designers who are fearful of that word double dipping. Well, what if the client says I'm double dipping? I'm like, do they really say that?
Right, right.
They don't really say that. They don't rarely, unless they have a relative who's a designer who's old school. There's so many ways you can charge as a designer. Let's be honest. All of us coaches, we teach different ways, but in the end, we all want you to have the profitability that gives you the joy of running the business, which is why you started the business in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, the thing about it is it's funny because we always talk about the goal of 40 to 60% as well for interior design businesses, because less than that, you can't sustain it. You're not going to be able to stay in business. And if you are, you're going to be one of those money launderers where you are. What happens is when you don't operate at a level of profit that actually sustains a business, you can stay in business. There's some that will go out of business in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years because they mismanage the money that's there. Okay.
Right.
But I've watched business owners in and out of the industry not function at a healthy profit level, but also not go out of business. But that is the person. If it's you, you are constantly like, oh my goodness, the rent is due for the studio. Oh my goodness, the payroll is coming up and I don't have the money. And you always pull it out of a hat. You do another consult, you get another $600, you pay the payroll. You know, like you just are on this constant chaos train of anxiety and all the things. But I've watched business owners sustain that chaos train for many, many years. And it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. And I hear a lot like, well, my staff makes more than me. Okay, there are times in the building of your business that your staff will make more than you, period. Mm-hmm. End of story.
Yep.
And I've done it myself. I'm sure you've done it as well. And I feel like they feel like that's wrong. I shouldn't pay somebody more than I'm being paid. You know what? You are choosing as the business owner to reinvest your portion back into the business to grow to the next level until you're at the point where you're like, you know what? I don't need to do that anymore. I'm going to raise my pay and raise my benefit of having a business. But there's a time and a place for that. And that's another thing that people don't tend to know. When is that time? Mm-hmm. And that's another thing I help them make decisions on. Like, when is that time to increase? When is it time to give up on almost like a resentment that they're making more than you? But you have to understand they're getting you to the next level. Mm-hmm. They're getting you to the next level where you can get your profitability up high enough and then start paying yourself more, and run the business you've always wanted to run. Listen, you know, Luann, running a business is not easy, and running an interior design business, out of all the businesses I coach, it's the hardest business to run. So many moving parts. Right. It's crazy, right? But it's doable. Right. And it's doable by learning your numbers, gaining confidence, increasing your communication skills to the point where you actually believe and understand why you're saying the things you're saying. You're not just repeating what I may say in a live or what they hear on a podcast like yours. It's like they actually really start to understand it and internalize it. And I think that's the turning point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what you said there, and I just want to go back and repeat it. You must, if you are not making as much as your employees, a couple of things you have to think about. How many years are you in business? Are you in business under 3, or are you in business 10 and still not making it, right? And are you not making as much as your employees because you are actively, consciously reinvesting what would have been your salary? Or are you not pricing profitably so that there's enough to pay you what you're worth? And those are two very different things. And that is the second scenario, where you are just not pricing profitably in order to pay yourself a living wage, or at least what your employees are making. Then you are doing yourself a huge disservice. I've said it 1,000 times. The first 18 months of WindowWorks, Vinny didn't make a dime. He did not make a dime. He paid me. He paid Billy. He bought trucks. We had retail store rental. We put money into advertising. And, he owned 2 health clubs, and he had a full-time job as a senior probation officer. And he was like, I am just, any dime that was extra that did not go to operations or the payment of me and Billy, he literally put into reinvesting and making the business more sound, right? But at the 18, he didn't do it for 10 years. Okay, let me just keep making my, what I mean? It was like there came a point where the business and the numbers needed to be able to make the profit so that everybody on the payroll in the business was on the payroll. So there's a putting your head in the sand, and there is a conscious decision to reinvest. And there is, like you said, there is a time and place for both. And sometimes understanding that takes the, counsel of someone like yourself that walks them through. And, to me, I find a lot of it is just putting the mirror in somebody, right, Nance? It's like, hey.
It's definitely that. But it's also, here's the thing, Luann, and some of my programs are a year long because there's new skills to learn as you grow, right? So I don't go right into staffing and hiring and firing and analyze and doing reviews until they're at the point where, like, I think I need to hire. Okay, how do I hire? This is how you hire. This is how you fire, unfortunately, if there's been a mistake. This is how I do a review. This is how I keep my staff motivated, right? Things, and that's just one example of how when you grow, you need new skills along the way that you may not know how to navigate. So some people will go into a program, they learn what they need to learn, and they do it, and suddenly like, now there's a whole new challenge. Oh no, I don't know how to do my accounting this way. I don't know how to do my staffing. I can't keep them happy. I'm losing people. I don't know how to just, what do I do with them when they get into my office? Like it's these panic moments as you grow in profitability in your overall business. How do you get to that next level? And that's where coaches come in handy. It's like, okay, now I've reached a new level. Now what do I do?
Right. No, I mean, look, I love that it's a year-long program. I'm going to have you tell me about it now, but I will just say, to emphasize your point of, as you grow your company, you need to consistently keep learning. I mean, WindowWorks has gone from a $2.8 million company pre-COVID 2019 to projecting at $6 million. And you think after 40 years in business, we're like, we got this. I'm telling you what, it's like complete insanity, because the process and systems that run a $50,000 company do not run a $250,000 company.
That's
and
right.
The process and systems that run a 2.8 do not run a 6. Now, I will tell you this, the core process and systems are the same. But what happens is, when 4 years ago is me, Vinny, Kim, Carlos, and Billy, 5 years ago, the 5 of us, and Adrian at the time, or Ann, a 5 or 6 person company, the system is linear, it's set. But that means that Vinny does something, it goes to Kim. Kim does something, it goes to Adriana. Now, with 14, 15 people and multiple millions more, the system is the same, but it goes through different people. Yes. Right? Like the core of the way we do business is the same. And so I love the idea that your coaching program is a full year program because it allows for that designer entrepreneur to move through stages and go, oh, now what happens here? So tell us about this. It is called the Profit Insiders for Interior Designers. This is your program that goes a year. Tell us what happens in it.
Well, I think overall what happens is you start out as a designer who've been running your business for a little while. Some of them are newer, some of them are more experienced. I actually like to mix the two because the younger designers teach the older designers or the more experienced designers new things. Let's say, for example, in social media, right? They're like, oh my God, I tried this and it was great. And they'll teach each other. This more senior designers can help the younger designers with more design related things. But there I am in the group to answer all the business building questions that they have and to direct them into how to do it well, the right pace, because some people go too fast and they combust. Other people go too slow because they need the motivation. We've built everything into this program that someone needs. If you're a self-learner, you have access to my membership site, which is over 150 videos, trainings, PDFs, scripts, printables, everything processed, ready to go. But then you have the twice a month meeting with me, which is an hour and a half. And by the way, I have a second associate coach starting to help with this program because it's so popular and it's the progress people are making. I'm even having trouble keeping up. Like, it's like, wow. Oh my God. It's like they're making so much progress. They're sending me so many messages because I have what's called the business helpline in this program as well. While you and I are talking, I've gotten 5 messages from existing clients like, quick question, Nancy. A client says this. What should I do? What should I say? They don't want to mess it up. Or I have a new consult. Can you just really refresh my memory really quick and tell me how I should be handling that? I have a problem client. They're looking to sue me and I don't know why, what happened. Like all these real life daily obstacles that you have running a business is what I'm there for. So not only do you get a private Facebook group just for the group itself, and I keep the groups small, somewhere between 10 and 15 is my sweet spot, where I can give everyone personal attention. They get a private one-on-one with me to start them off. If they sign up and fill out the application quickly and they are a good fit for the program, some of them will get a second one-on-one with me. They get a website review. They get a social media audit. They get twice a month meeting with me. They get me and the other associate coach, which, by the way, I want to announce who it is because it's official now. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's been on your show and everyone loves her. Leslie Myrick is now part of my coaching team.
I just got goosebumps. I just got goosebumps. She is a rock star. I love that kid.
Good fit, God. Right? I know. And she's a kid to us, but she's not even
I know she's not a kid. I just love that
but
kid.
But I say the same thing. I'm like, oh, I have a new girl starting. She's just fabulous.
No, I mean, that's my saying. I love that kid. My Nana used to say that. She used to say that to me all the time. I love that kid. So that's a thing in our family. It's nothing to do with how old you are.
I'm the same. But what was great, why I asked Leslie, and I will tell you, I pursued her because she coached with me. And I don't remember how long, honestly. Could have been about a year, could have been a little less. She coached with me. She has moved on and coached with other people. She's a lifelong learner, which I think matches me perfectly. She's dynamic. She's an interior designer. She has made her own systems that she then was doing some coaching. She's done a podcast that she, later let go, which I understand. She's a young mom also.
Yep.
And she is literally the perfect fit to add to me. I am not disappearing. I am the coach in that program. But it's nice to have another perspective and another coach in there for people when they leave me messages. She can hop in, I can hop in. And you know how I teach on a regular basis to have a balanced life.
Right.
Well, my life was getting out of balance because I'm like one of these, I want to help everybody. Right? And this was my way to continue to be able to help more people with someone who is super smart and has learned from me, learned from other coaches, and done it herself. So between the two of us, I can't see how any topic cannot be covered between our knowledge and our connections. We just want to guide everyone to getting to enjoy their business again, getting to the point where they're making money, that they have time with their family, that they're not getting burnt out and sick, right? We go everything in this program. I actually have to pull up the page. We've pulled out all the stops. You can learn on your own. You learn while you're in our sessions. Yes, we give homework. I try to make it reasonable so that they can get to it. I also am there every step of the way while they're gaining new clients from what I'm teaching them, because we're teaching marketing, we're teaching sales, we're teaching process, profitability, estimating. It's just pretty much everything you need to run your business. We can teach you to get to that point where you're happy again. I want everyone to be happy running their business. Why run the business if we're going to be miserable, right?
Right. 100%. I mean, this sounds like an outstanding program. And so we are talking in June of 2022. So this is launching in August. Like, it's a set launch period. It's not a rolling membership. So this is launching in August of 2022, and it is application based. It's not just pay your money and you're in. You have to fill out the application, because you do keep the spaces limited, and therefore you're trying to make sure that each of the people that are being invited to accept and be part of this are in the right spot in their business to make the most of it. But also, you're probably curating the group to make sure that it's a synergistic group and all the things, right?
I am absolutely curating the group, but the biggest thing is that I need to hear and feel from you that you're ready.
Yep.
You're ready to put in the work. And again, I make it reasonable. We go over branding and changes in the websites that need to be made, your content calendar for social media. When do you hire? When do you not? All that stuff. And what's beautiful is the fact that I do the one-on-one with everyone in the beginning allows me to really get to know their business so that I can guide them then on the business helpline, which is the walkie-talkie app, where they can ask me questions. It's very different for each person. My answers are sometimes different because their businesses are different. Some of them have partners. Some of them are solopreneurs. Some of them do only window treatments. Other people do full-blown design. They're trying to figure out who they are, how they should present to the world, how they can get more responsiveness from their Instagram and their Facebook, and possibly LinkedIn, Pinterest. Like, we go over all the different ways you can grow your business, so you can choose which one's right for you. But more so than that, I'm kind of tell you which one is best for you. Like, I try to go like, no, that's not going to be good for you. Like, do this one, and this is the one that's working. And we also go through referrals and how to approach your clients when it comes to referrals. We really just, I feel like we cover it all. I'm sure there'll be spots that I go, oh, we didn't cover that. I'm going to add more. Every single month we add new trainings to the membership site. Like, I'm going to give you one simple example. One of my one-on-one clients had a terrible story about a house where the contractors did not respect the house properly. Let's put it that way. And they said to me, like, oh, in your membership site, you have a list of like contractor etiquette. And I'm like, oh my God, great idea. So now we are creating a contractor etiquette to put in our membership site so that if you choose to use it, it's there and you can modify anything to fit your business, because we always make it modifiable. So like, we listen and then we add to the membership site, which is accessible to all the Profit Insiders, as well as my membership site only people, which there are those as well. So it's a program I'm so proud of, Luann, because we just keep enhancing it to make sure everyone is successful. Everyone.
Sounds awesome. I love it. I love it. And, I'm totally, visualizing the Voxer support in my chairman of the board program. It's the exact same way. The Voxer, I
Yes.
call it situational coaching. We get together, for like you have your monthly sessions and the teachings and the downloads and the videos and all of that. That's process. That's how do I do this? But the Voxer support is how do I say this? How do I answer this? Oh, what do you think about what this client said? How do I get out of this situation? This contractor doesn't want to this, and how do I blah blah blah? And that Voxer for situational coaching is worth the, worth the membership right there.
It honestly is, and I tell everyone in the very first session that I have in every group that we start, I tell them, those of you who use the business helpline, the Voxer support, will be most successful.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm a life coach. I'm a business coach. I've been through a ton of crap in my life, and I am able to help people because it overlaps, Luann.
Yes,
It's never,
it does.
you know that.
It does. It always overlaps into the mindset. And, we did that program back in the day. One day we'll revive it. Money mindset and sales, right?
I love the name.
I know. And it was great. And it's all a big spider web, right? There's the sales system. There's the business operations system. There's the marketing system. There's all of the systems, but we're humans. And so it all intersects with the way each of us individually approach situations, problems, challenges, conversations, comments, and each one of us is a bag of, everything where we've ever been, and we filter everything through who we are. And that's where that support and that individual situational coaching really complements a program that you're putting together, because you can teach 10 people a system or a process, but it's 10 different humans that one will be able to say something with confidence, another one can't even imagine it, and it will work perfectly for one, and the other one will struggle with it. But if you don't have that opportunity that you're giving them for that individual situational coaching, that second person will never break through. And so it's awesome that you make that part of the deliverables. So.
And it's also that people learn in different ways, right? We know that. So when we record all the sessions just in case someone can't make it. They are all transcribed as well. So if you're a reader as opposed to a listener, you have full transcription of every session that we have. It's the motivational message in the morning that I leave is kind of cute. I have all my clients in one broadcast channel on Voxer. And I'll leave a motivational message. And I can't tell you how many times I hear back, like, were you in my mind this morning?
I needed that, right? Yes.
Yeah. In addition to, I'm a body language trainer, so I do a lot of that in there as well. But what's exciting is that those who fill out an application now will actually and get accepted into the program because they're a good fit. I do not accept anyone who I really think is not going to be a good fit. I'm really honest with them. If I feel like, you know what, I think right now you should go membership site only. It's a less of an investment, and I think you're okay doing that. Other people I can tell that's not going to be a success. And other people I say, you know what, you need to go one-on-one because your situation is so unique. But for those who fill out the application soon now, when this broadcast goes out, they're also going to actually get my full body language course.
Oh, nice. Right. So let's talk about, where do they go to fill out the application, and is there a deadline where, like you're mentioning, these extra bonuses? So is there a deadline when the application has to be filled out in order to have the opportunity to receive the bonuses if they get accepted into the program?
Yes, and I don't know those dates.
Okay, so we'll put it in the show notes.
That's my team, but we will give it to you so you can put it in the show notes, because there are bonuses happening now. Then it goes down by one bonus, then it goes down by another bonus as we get closer to the launch. This particular group starts on August 2nd. And I know a lot of people go, oh, well, I'm not available that day. Hence why we record with transcription, have a private Facebook group, have the Voxer, and you can get all the assignments and everything that you need, even if you have to miss a session. And it happens, right?
Yeah.
I miss sessions. So
Right.
it's not that big of a deal because we provide so much background and support that you won't have a problem.
Okay. And where do we? What's the website that we go to apply?
Okay, so on my website, there is a NancyGanzaCoffer.com. There is on the top left corner, it's for interior designers. That is what takes you to my business building boutique, which is a lot of free stuff in there. And that's where you can get the link, or you can just go direct to NancyGanzaCoffer.com/Profit Insiders ID1. And of course, we'll provide you with a link on that too.
Okay. ID the number 1.
Correct.
Okay. I love it, Nance. I mean, what an outstanding opportunity for a lucky group of interior designers to spend a year with you. I have, since we have met, I have had dozens of designers come to me at live events, in podcast interviews, in emails, tell me how they have invested in any number of your coaching opportunities. And I've never, ever heard anything but praise and gratitude for the way that you personally help interior designers create more profit in their business, create more balance in their business, to create more clarity in their business. It's 100% endorsement on what you do, and I just love it. And I'm so glad to have you in this world with me as somebody that I can refer people to with confidence. So
thank you so much, Luann. I really appreciate that. You know what? I really take to heart everything people say. Like if there's ever like, oh, I wish you had this, I'm like, okay, let's consider doing that. And if we can, we do. Period. End of story.
That's it.
Right?
That's amazing. And when people ask me that, I'm like, no, I don't have it. Here, go get it from Nancy. Go get it from Michelle.
I know. It's hard. You know what? I have a team of 7 people at this point because I want to make sure everyone is successful. And if they're not, it's like a personal affront to me. I'm like, okay, wait, what's going on? Let's go figure this out. You know? So
no, it's really awesome. It's terrific.
Again too.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're going to put all the episodes in the show notes to Nancy's shows, to Leslie's shows, and the links to the course. And you know what? If you're one of the people that is ready for this and makes a decision to do it, high five to you. And hopefully, if you're a right fit. And I agree with you, Nancy, on that. Somebody who's, just so we say, somebody who's not a right fit today doesn't mean they're not a right fit in 6 months or a year. It's not about being a good, bad, whatever person. We, with experience and working with many people, you want it to be the best experience for the person coming in too. And that's where, I do the same thing with my chairman of the board. I have a conversation. I turn away more chairman of the boards than I take because you want it to be a win-win. And the way you have structured this with small groups, I think it's awesome that you take that time to have the conversation and to read the applications and to figure out, because it's that extra layer of, if I'm out there thinking about doing this, it's a little bit more security that you're not just taking dollar bills and you don't care what happens, right? You're invested in the outcome, and that's the way it should be with a good, honorable coach.
And if I cannot say to somebody, like, everyone's like, oh, I'm not sure I have the money right now. You know what? Sometimes the cart does go before the horse, and I will work my butt off to make sure that that money is going to be like, oh, not even a question. Right. So worth it. I mean, I've gotten one new consult and I got one new client, and I paid for the entire year with that. And that's always the goal, is to get them making enough money right away. And I actually do one last thing. I do it different than some other people do it. I actually teach sales first and then the marketing, because I don't want you bringing in a whole big slew of pipeline when you don't know how to sell yet and you haven't made your decisions on your pricing. Right. You're not comfortable yet. You don't know what programs you're offering. So pricing and ladder of services always comes first in my programs. So then I can teach you marketing, and then you can start killing it.
100%. You know what? You and I, well, this is the same thing for the last 6.5 years. We're just,
yes,
you say something and I agree to it. That's where it's at.
Yes, yes.
I've had the same conversation with designers. I'm like, no. You do not, we cannot blow up your marketing now. You don't have a foundation in place for when we put all those leads through your front door. We got to step back. We got to know how to sell them. We have to know how to price them profitably. We have to know how our team is going to execute. Then we could put the fire hose on the business.
Exactly.
So 100%. Love it so much. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Nancy. And I'm so excited, and I'm looking forward to, talking to you in several months down the road and seeing which lucky interior designers, really just stepped up and said, I want to make my business different this year by working with you. So
absolutely.
Good luck.
Woo-hoo. I'm excited. Thank you, Luann.
You're welcome. Well, here's the thing. We all have different reasons for having less than stellar profitability in our business and in our individual projects. It could be mistakes that we made. It could be times when we are covering other people's mistakes. It could be when we've gotten in our own head and we have not, as Nancy said, charged our worth. A lot of things. All right. But what I love that Nancy said, and I agree, is that when you take on a project, there needs to be a process in place. I mean, talk about broken record, right? We've talked about that all the time here. It is one of the huge differentiators for your success. If you have not experienced before and after process and systems, then you just will not ever really understand the tremendous value of it. Take it from me, take it from Nancy, take it from everybody that's been there before you. And what I love is how she added that treat yourself as an employee that has the company guidelines to follow. Okay, because that is a critical, like if you need to look at it from that standpoint, that's key. I like that little aha there. It's if you decide your process is X, Y, Z, and you don't feel like doing Z, if you were an employee, you would not have the option not to do Z. You have to do it. So if part of your process, which I hope it is analyzing each project at the end of it for profitability, then you can't not do that part if you've decided. And I want you to strive to doing that part. Okay. And the thing is, what Nancy had pointed out is that sometimes when clients are questioning your pricing or the length of time, two things happen when you're doing this as part of your process. You know that you are pricing properly. You know how long it takes you to do something because, you might be in the middle of that current project, but you've analyzed how many projects before that. And so you're standing there saying, this I know to be true. This is a good invoice. Okay, this is a good billing amount. And that comes through when you are working with your clients. That confidence comes through. Okay, and then the other thing that I like is that when we talked about, Nancy and I, how when a client is questioning your pricing and wants an explanation, first to be sure, are they just wanting an explanation or are they questioning? Because they're very two different things. Any consumer, yourself included, is entitled to an explanation if you don't understand the invoicing. And that's very different than challenging the pricing. And I find when I read the posts in the Facebook groups a lot, that many times the knee-jerk reaction is they're challenging my price. And then, here come all the quotes, red flag, leave them, fire them, whatever. And I'm like, maybe they just need to understand the invoice. Like, how about that? And so, my first reaction, and Nancy also, is answer the question. If they have a question on pricing, answer it. It might just be a simple explanation that they're looking for. And if you are tracking your data and you are analyzing your projects for profitability, when you hear somebody ask you for an explanation on pricing, you're not going into a tailspin because you know the pricing is good. I know that if you're a designer out there that you've given an invoice and somebody has questioned the price on it, be truthful with yourself. Mostly it's because you're not sure that the price is right. Not like, whether it should have been $200 or $240. You're not sure that you should have charged what you should have. Oh, should I have charged for 12 hours? Should I have, put that markup on it? Because you're not confident yet. We're getting there. We're going to all get there in what you brought to the table, right? And that is the nudge there. When you know what you bring to the table is worth what it is, you will accept every question on an invoice for the face value. They probably just need the explanation. Maybe I didn't put an item number next to it or whatever. And then if they want to push it to the next level, then you will be okay with it. Oh, okay. Actually, you're not sure I worked those many hours? Great. Let me run you through it. Okay. So I love that. Look, Nancy and I agree on almost everything every time we talk. It doesn't surprise me ever. Okay. I want to do one other thing. Nancy was back on the podcast, and she did her business in words exercise with us. We'll put the notes in the show, the episode in the show notes. She literally ran through her entire step-by-step how to create your business in words. And in the moment of doing that with her, I was so blown away about how it is such a tangible exercise. And I've recommended this episode to many, many designers one-on-one when they've said to me, I don't know what my Fred Burns only is. I don't know what sets me apart. I don't know how to describe myself that, makes somebody remember me. And this is a fabulous thing. And I want to just read you Nancy's description that she has of herself because it's so on the money. And it's Nancy Ganzekaufer is a focused, motivated, and dedicated interior designer business coach. She empowers creative entrepreneurs to build the life and business they have always wanted and deserve. Nancy leads by example through her hard work, encouragement, and most of all, her no BS leadership style. In addition to business coaching, Nancy is a national board member of the Interior Design Society and a current and founding president of the IDS virtual chapter. So, is that just tell you almost everything you need to know about Nancy? And when you go and listen to the episode, Your Business in Words, you'll see that the idea, the ultimate reason for doing this is when you're introduced to someone, whether it be at a PTA meeting, a BNI meeting, anywhere. And somebody says, oh, hi, my name's Sally. What's your name and what do you do? And we all go, well, I'm an interior designer. Oh, that's interesting. What kind of design do you do? Oh, the regular kind, right? And I guarantee you that if you were to meet Nancy as a stranger at any type of function and you were to say to her, oh, hi, Nancy, what do you do? I $1 billion bet that she says, I'm a focused, motivated, dedicated interior designer business coach. That's what she says back to you. And in 1 second, you're like, wow, aren't you literally impressed and also informed, right? So I really wanted to take a minute to point that out because Nancy has a particular superpower in what she's come up with to how do you get to that. And I didn't want that to be missed. All right. Now, the Job Profitability Analyzer. I love this too because you will put in all of your things, your invoices from your vendors, your sales tax, all of the, the cost of goods, all of the things, your hours, everything. And then she's got this calculator and it will tell you your profit margin on the job. And if you put in your hours, it will calculate what your hourly rate was. So definitely go and to Nancy's site, and we'll put the links in the notes, to get this Job Profitability Analyzer. This is your, the Vincennes does this on every job. This is your tool to make sure that you are actually making money and you are not just thinking you're making money. All right. And then as far as this, new program, the next Profit Insiders for Interior Designers, it's launching August 2nd, 2022. It is full of valuable support, information, benefits, okay? I love, love, love that she has partnered with Leslie Myrick. High five to you, lady out there. Leslie's been on the show 3 times. Love your expertise and experience that you bring. And I think that you and Nancy are perfect complements to each other. But of course, Nancy already figured that out. That's why she invited you to partner with her. And, you know, this is the thing. Nancy is a heck of a smart lady, and so are you, Leslie. So congratulations on this new collaboration. So if you are interested in Nancy's Profit Insiders for Interior Designers group and all of the benefits that you get inside of that, I highly encourage you to go apply. It's launching August 2nd, 2022. You do have to apply, and you can do that at nancyganskaufer.com/Profit Insider ID1. Okay. Of course, the link will be in the notes. And, also check out Nancy's website for the other things that she has in there. You'll see when you go in, it's nancyganskaufer.com. And on the top left corner, you'll see for interior designers, there is a link that's called Business Building Boutique. All right. And she has lots of free things in there that will help you in your journey in creating a profitable business. So thank you so much for listening today. Thank you, Nancy, for sponsoring this particular episode and for all of the collaborations that we've been doing since we've been on this journey together 6.5 years. And I'm grateful to you, Nancy, for your friendship, your collaboration, your support, and all the things. And I'm just so jazzed watching what you have done, what you've created, and how you are such a force in our industry. So, all righty, guys, decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.